So this is the Yuz Revolution, where we use what we got to get where we need to be. And today, my special guest is Alex Alexander.
Hey,
and she is an open mic host, a photographer, blogger, graphic designer, and just, I think, a simply amazing person.
Oh, thank you.
So, usually every month I do like a certain topic. So when I was stalking you online, researching for this thing, I came across your poem, The Perfect Vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like almost like the perfect soundtrack for this month's theme of basically using your strengths to overcome obstacles.
Absolutely.
So in the poem you talk about, of course, your vision impairment.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, what made you turn to photography?
It was, it came naturally to me, just capturing things and thoughts and situations in four corners, whether it be painting, drawing. Photography was just like the instantaneous version of all those things. And, traditional photography, darkroom photography, that's where I felt most comfortable because, it wasn't about, we were all equal in the dark room is how I saw it.
Sure.
We were only as good as our content, and it was a meditative situation, and then I come out of the dark with these like gorgeous prints that like were painstakingly developed, and it was an accomplishment to me. Like every negative, every roll of film that I processed myself, like that was me saying, a big F you to anybody that said I couldn't see, or that would be the thing that kept me from expressing myself visually. And yeah, so photography was just that perfect, portable mode of I see you to me. And I try to freak that out in every aspect of life, just like...
Okay, so when I was reading about that with like the whole photography thing, like my thoughts about it were like, it was kind of like like using something that you can do to kind of like make up for, other those that I guess you kind of like lack in. So you're kind of like using that like strength, and like your strength is like photography. So those were my thoughts when I was reading about the whole photography thing. And I know like you always have like the like greatest like flyers. Like I'm like just looking at the flyers for like Bolton Hill Open Mic Series. I'm like, this is just for the one event?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
It always has like the like best colors. So if you guys have not seen her, just the flyers, just grab the flyer. Like that's all you really need.
Right, grab the flyer and then come on down.
Yeah, definitely. So I found it really interesting in the poem where you said you identify colors by sound.
Mm.
How does that work?
Like, I guess it's just like a poetic way of saying I'm overcompensating all the time. So I can identify a color and I can say that's tinny, that's minerally, that's echoey. Like it's all relative to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have so many other ways of how do you say it? I have so many ways of interpreting my senses that it's not limited to the norm. Like, everything is kind of playing off of each other. You know what I'm saying? I can smell as good as I can taste, as good as I can hear. Like, all those things are heightened when one is weakened. And so, I can identify a color by the sound that it shows. I can get a good sense of the environment with my nose. Like, I can smell you before I know you're there. Before I visually have come to terms with you're in the room. Like, I recognize people by their scent just as good as I can their voice. And that sounds a little crazy, but there's people that have like I know their locks, or I know their favorite perfume, or that they smoke, or what brand of cigarettes they smoke, like whatever it is, and those things are really important because that's how I have to navigate through the world.
True.
And I feel lucky that I can do that.
Yeah, I thought that was so interesting. I was like Googling that. I was like, what is this called?
Right. that poetic license that
Yeah.
you take in describing some shit that is just like, I smell better than I can see. Like, you know. But yeah.
But I was just like, when I did hear that line, I was just like, well, maybe she can, since it's like, you know, your other senses are like heightened.
Right.
So I was like, it's interesting.
Right.
Because I know a lot of people, you know, not a lot of people, but, you know, some people are like, yeah, like, different things give off like different auras and everything like that. So that's what that made me think of.
Right.
Okay, so I read some of your blog posts. So one thing that stood out to me was how you talked about like when you were in school and your mom, she provided you guidance and like encouragement, but she never, you know, wanted to fight your battles for you. So how do you think that helped you become the woman that you are today?
If I could just like paint a picture that, if you've ever seen the movie Ray, when his mother is coming to terms with him being blind, and she watches him almost burn himself on the pot, or watch him count his steps before he busts his ass, like, that's my mother. She was always there, but she wanted me to learn also. She didn't want to have me waiting for her go every step I made. So it was knowing that she was there if I fell, but she'd grant me the opportunity to fall, so I learned to stand up again. And so that comes into play with everything, because she's like my foundation of like trust and what it means to be a woman and go through some of the grimiest shit and the grimiest people that you'll ever encounter. Her stories and her warnings prepared me for things that I wouldn't even fathom of enduring. And so those playground bullies and those people who, you know, made fun of my thick glasses and my pale skin with both of my brown skinned parents, you know, she watched that. But she was like, I wonder how she's going to handle that. And that goes on and on and on throughout life, every other arena. Like, I've always got her, whether she's here or, you know, in the hereafter. I know that I'll always have her and her echoes of wisdom with me throughout life.
Yeah, we seeing her posting up on Facebook.
You know what I'm saying? She is the social media queen.
Hey, that's good.
She will tell me about an event before I know about it. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Mom be knowing.
She be
Mom
knowing
know things.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just thought that was like great when I keep talking about your blog post, but I just thought it was great when you were kind of like compared to like Golden Girls.
Yes.
And like she's your best friend. Like,
you know, she is the Sophia Petrillo to my Dorothy Spornak. Like, if you don't watch the Golden Girls, watch it. But yeah, she's my rock.
I never got Golden Girls until like more recently, and then I'll be watching. I'm like, oh shoot, well that's what they were talking about. They're dirty on there.
Exactly. I love it.
Like, you don't even realize that I can't even remember her name right now, that she's like just so slutty. Just like,
Blanche.
Yeah.
Blanche. Clutch the Pearls ass slutty. Oh my gosh, I love that show. Total classic.
Okay, so and then I'm just kind of jumping around here, and then back to like the poem. I just love, like, one of my favorite lines in there is how you talk about, it's best that I don't disappoint my mother. I just love that line. That's all I want to say about it. That's all I want to say about that.
She likes that line too.
I bet. She highlighted in the book. Read just this line right there. That's about me.
Got you. I'm like, I got you, Mom.
Well, because like one thing with overcoming obstacles, like I think one of like the biggest parts is having like a strong role model.
Absolutely.
That's like something that that's priceless, basically, having that like strong role model. Because I know a lot of times when people are like, yeah, I'm going through this and that, and then you don't have that person to kind of like go back to, like, hey, I need you right now. So that's great that you have like someone there like at all times.
Absolutely.
So I know sometimes, you know, of course society can be like harsh when they perceive you as like being different. So was there a time when you felt like giving up, and what or who stopped you?
Let me see. I'm gonna say in high school, I had a really strict studio AP painting teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Kathy Kahn. If anybody Duke Ellington School of the Arts, remember Miss Kahn? Miss Kahn loved me, but she fucked with me all the time. Like, I had this thing called a lay position, and I would paint like this, like completely straight, but I had to focus on my right side. And she would come and literally push my head upright, and like just all these things to jolt me out of what I was using as coping mechanisms. You know what I'm saying? It was already hard that I was down half a sense, and I'm still in the game, and I'm still trying to get in where I fit in. She just picked on me so bad that it just made me want to excel even harder. So the person that kind of knocked me down also was the one that dragged me on back up, because it was all of her. It was all of her just I don't know. It was salt and sugar with her, you know,
like Sour Patch teacher.
Sour Patch Con, Sour Patch Kathy. That's what I'm gonna call her from now on. And she just walk into the room with her Sour Patch face, and she'll say, "Alexander, wear your glasses." And I'm like, you know, they're around, you know.
They're somewhere.
They're
I don't
somewhere.
even need them. Like,
I mean, and I don't wear glasses because, like, any prescription is just like putting the sharpening filter on site. Like, it's not helping me see any farther. It's not doing too much. It's just sharpening things. I'm like, I can squint and do what my whole prescription does right there. And they're like, so. I mean, that, and just, you know, people who ask ignorant questions about, you know, why your glasses so thick, and why do your eyes move so fast back and forth? Can you see me? Like, can I do this? Like, and then start jolting their eyes back and forth, and I'm just like, you know, kill yourself. Like, stop. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Who is that serving? Like, you know what I'm saying? So.
I think people don't even think. They just, like, because I think, like, you know, people, they never think about that someone else is going through obstacles, so it's like you're just impeding their progress. Like, why would you want to do that?
Right.
I know, people are crazy.
Yeah.
People are crazy. That's all I can say about it.
Exactly.
So, with we got the photography and everything. So, how did you get into the poetry thing? And I'm just like jumping around because it's not like one of my questions.
Just going around. Well, I always kept a diary. From the time I was like 9 or 10, I always kept a diary. But it wasn't until between 8th and 9th grade I started to compete, and then competing turned into actual slamming. And in Duke Ellington School of the Arts, I was in visual arts, but I always crept up into the literary media classes. And, like, I took more of those classes than I did my actual assigned classes, and that led me to Brave New Voices. I, like, just happened upon a slam and won. And next thing I knew, I was going to Los Angeles, and we competed. DC placed, and we did our thing. And I came back with this, like, confidence of, like, yo, that was everything. Like, building with all these human beings who, you know, feel with their pen and express with a roar, like, that was moving to me. A whole week of just nothing but crushing it verbally. Like, you know, nothing could compare to that. So as soon as the slam happened, from the diaries, from the creeping into other people's classes, and then stumbling upon the slam, like, all of that led to this, like, yo, I got a voice this way. I have a voice all these other ways, but I got a literal voice and a perspective this way. And I just tried to nurture that every step of the way. So even in college, I kind of put that aside, you know, to hone in on my visual skills. But as soon as I graduated, bombs happened. Bolton Health Mike series happened. And, you know, that just started off as like a cipher, you know, word of mouth, a couple handwritten flyers that we Xeroxed around Micah. And then it wasn't until 2013, that's 2010, 2013, we had our first joint. I was like, I can provide this feeling for somebody else who wants to write and wants to shout, get on the mic and do their thing, like, you know. And so it was a paid it forward type of thing, bombs. So I feel like I jumped around now, but
it's okay, it's cool. We both of us all jumping around, but you answered the question though. Yeah, people just don't realize how, like, exhilarating and freeing it is to write something down and then have the courage to actually go out there. And even if you're just reading it, like, just to get that out there, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that.
Right.
That was wonderful.
Yes.
That was wonderful.
Exactly.
So, how can people get your CD?
Oh my gosh, okay. This sounds so whack, but I am on my way to put that thing on iTunes, and I have just placed another order. I just placed another order, and then you'll be able to purchase it through alexalexanderworks.com at least by the middle of July.
Okay.
So yeah.
You guys should get that. So, while we're battling these obstacles, sometimes, like, people have the tendency to fall into a depression. Was there ever a time that you fell into depression, and how did you battle back from that?
I feel like people, like, place so much shame on depression. Like, depression has no season. Like,
Definitely.
that thing can creep up on you on your best day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I've always dealt with what I call depression, but what might not be depression clinically. But I mean, I've always, like, gone through battling self-image and standards placed upon me by society, and you know, just getting in my own head about, am I on the right trajectory to be this artist and to be this person that I'm trying to be, and to lend my perspective, and I just get so into my head that I can't get out of it. And so dealing with that, some of my best stuff happens. Like, I start to write about it, and then I connect with other men, other women who feel the same as I do, and, you know, who have the same aesthetic as I do. I draw to that, I write to that, I photograph that, and those images and those words really bring people in, and it makes it not seem so lonely and so trapped. Like, so to battle depression or to battle any angst or whatever, I always try to pour that into my art without sounding like one-noted. Like, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, there's that depressing. Like,
She always depressed.
She always writing about something, somebody done died. Like, no, it's always a life that comes out of those, you know, awful burdens of feelings.
That just reminds me of, like, what Langston Hughes said, where he was like, he writes when he's, like, the saddest. Unfortunately, that's, like, true for, I think, a lot of people.
Right.
Like, when you're at the lowest and you're all of a sudden you're like, yes,
Exactly.
wonderful.
Yes.
And I guess that, and even after that, you're just like, I'm still depressed though.
Right.
But at least I have this good words.
At least I purged a little bit. I've got
Exactly.
this piece. I've got this new addition to my portfolio. I've met this person by sharing my story. Something always pulls you out. It might not feel the best, but it's in that, it steps to feeling a little better.
Yeah, and I think with, like, the whole depression thing, like, art definitely helps. Like, any kind of art helps. Even if you're just, like, writing stick figures, like,
Right.
that's something.
It is. It is.
So do whatever you can to
Do
get
whatever
yourself
you
out of that
can.
funk.
Get out of yourself sometimes, yo. Reach out of you sometimes. Like, pour from your soul, speak from your soul, but there's so much more than you, and once you recognize that, you'll even find yourself a little bit more. If you step out to, like, explore and share and have other people share with you and take in new experiences and get vulnerable and crazy, you'll come back to one and discover yourself even more, and, like, maybe get through your demons. Like, come back and get them. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So that was actually my final question.
Well,
that was
awesome.
short and sweet. So do you want to, like, plug your events, any kind of services you offer?
Sure. Well, I'm the host, like she said, I'm the host of the Bolton Hill Open Mic Series. You can find us on Facebook.com/the Bolton Hill Open Mic Series. I'm also a blogger, lifestyle, fashion, beauty, art. And you can find my blog, The High Yellow Bella, at www.alexalexanderworks.com/blog. I'm a photographer. You can render my services through my website. I'm a performance poet. graphic designer. All around, I'd like to call myself a Renaissance woman. So
she do everything.
Come get some of this. There's plenty. So please hit me up, and I thank you so much for this opportunity to share me on your platform. Thank you.